Basement, level vibes with another one, straight up, blackness aye. Who tell the truth? Mark Benschop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benschop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benschop, straight up from the root. Mark Benschop, who tell the truth? Mark Benschop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benschop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benschop, straight up from the root. Mark Benschop, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Benschop stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can hear, the dumb can talk, the cripple can walk. Boom. Who tell the truth? Mark Benschop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benschop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benschop, straight up from the root. Mark Benschop, who tell the truth? Mark Benschop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benschop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benschop, straight up from the root. Mark Benschop, we have to gather wrong, grab a seat and sit down, pay attention, education, liberation, we have to stand strong. Benschop upon the radio, lively up the program. Everybody call somebody and let them turn and tune and pon the radio and catch the boom song. We boom it up already, we have to boom it up again. Expose and reveal him. Who tell the truth? Mark Benschop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benschop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benschop, straight up from the root. Mark Benschop, who tell the truth? Mark Benschop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benschop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benschop, straight up from the root. Mark Benschop, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Benschop stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can hear, the dumb can talk, the cripple can walk. Boom. Who tell the truth? Mark Benschop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benschop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benschop, straight up from the root. Mark Benschop, who tell the truth? Mark Benschop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benschop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benschop, straight up from the root. Mark Benschop.
This is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington Law Firm, located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you, so call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
All right, good evening. It's 6 minutes after 9 o'clock. It's the third day of July. July. What can we say? July, right? CARICOM Day. Not sure what purpose CARICOM. Can the operator just get this Paku off the screen, please? Get that Paku off the screen. Good evening to all of you. Hey, guess what? It's CARICOM Day. It's a holiday in Guyana. And I don't know what's the purpose of CARICOM. What exactly CARICOM does. But we have a CARICOM headquarters that is in Guyana. They do, in my opinion, they do nothing. They say nothing. They just sit there and they allow this oppressive regime just to do all manner of things to people, and they do nothing. They sit there. They're enjoying hundreds of millions of taxpayers' monies. the Secretary General and all these people, they're not like before. You know, we've had Secretary Generals and all these things of CARICOM. They had a voice. That was way back when. They had a voice about something. They had a voice about when governments were screwing up. And they issued statements. They have press conferences and so forth. But these pacus who are there right now, and I say pacus, mind you, right? Those pacus who are there right now, can somebody in the audience, some one of you, smart people, very smart people, tell me what exactly do we get in return for CARICOM? Anybody, tell me as quickly as possible. I'm looking at your comments. What exactly do we get in return for CARICOM? What? There's CARICOM free trade. Is there free travel when traveling is no longer free? When Haitian brothers and sisters can go to certain countries, and you know that country we were talking about, Guyana, but you have other nationalities are free to go in Guyana, are free to work at the hospitals, hundreds of them. Go in Balwant Singh's hospital, you'll see what I'm talking about. Go at Woodlands Hospital, you'll see what I'm talking about. Go at Sheriff's Hospital, you see what I'm talking about. Go at these private hospitals and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Other nationalities have every right in Guyana, except Haitians, except the Nigerians, and so forth and so on. Hey, you gotta love Guyana, right? But it's CARICOM, and there's nothing, absolutely nothing to celebrate. So I don't know, might as well get up early in the morning, drink a little high wine, eat a little bake and roti or puri or whatever, and just enjoy yourselves. Enjoy yourselves, right? Yeah. Anyways, let me see here. Deborah Pearson, I'm looking at some of your comments. And again, good evening to all of you. Deborah Pearson is saying, now we have oil. We now become their benefactor. Now, of course, everybody's benefiting, right, Anand Prasad? Everybody is benefiting. Aretha Clark says nothing at all. That is so true. Nothing at all, right, Wayne Caesar? Wayne is in the audience tonight. Good evening to you, Wayne. Wayne's mother, by the way, I just don't want to divert because I quickly glanced and I saw that Wayne Caesar is in the audience with us. And Wayne's mother celebrated her birthday yesterday, I believe. Happy, belatedly, birthday greetings to his mother. So join me in wishing Wayne Caesar's mom a happy birthday. Wayne and his brother and his other siblings and so forth, Ranier and those guys who watch the show. So let's continue. I just thought at the side, Wayne takes his time out of his busy schedule to be here. He doesn't have to, but he takes time out of his busy schedule to be here. And we're very thankful for the brother for coming on and being brave to offer his opinion on almost everything. He's not like some of those, and I'm not knocking some of you, some of those Facebook so-called warriors who like to sit behind their keyboards and dictate what people should do and what people shouldn't do and who watching who and who in this and who, that crap. Sorry about that. I get a little worked up sometimes, but yeah, happy birthday to Wayne Caesar's mom. Now let's continue on this show, right? Let's continue here. Desiree Simon and the whole crew now running in. Let me give you guys 30 seconds to wish Wayne Caesar's mom happy birthday. She celebrated it yesterday, so it'll be belated. But wish her a happy birthday, man. I'll take a quick break. I see you guys are busy into it, so go right ahead. Just continue.
Basement level vibes with another one, straight up blackness. Aye. Who tell the truth? Mark Benschop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benschop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benschop, straight up from the root. Mark Benschop, who tell the truth? Mark Benschop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benschop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benschop, straight up from the root. Mark Benschop, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Benschop stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can need.
straight up, and we just took that quick time out so you can wish Wayne Caesar, his mom, happy birthday belatedly. She celebrated it yesterday, but that's the best that we can do, you know. Wayne is brave enough to come out and say it like it is. Don't stay behind keyboard and support their candidates and then expect people to bow to their candidates. And when people don't bow to their candidates, they get all jumpy and you know, but we'll get to those sort of individuals who think that they're smart. All right, but guess what happened today? Hey, protest action today out there in Guyana, and I love it. There were true warriors who were out there, true warriors on the ground, not warriors who pop up, take a quick picture, talk, and beat out as though it's a fashion show. It's not a fashion show. Politics is not a fashion show. It is not a fashion show. And the ordinary folks, the rank and file people, are not stupid people. They can smell when someone is not for them. They can smell when someone just wants to take over the limelight. They can smell when somebody just wants something for the photo op. They know who are the genuine ones. Trust me on that. But we can talk about that some other time. Let's get straight to a clip of today's event. We want to go to that, a clip of today's event, and I was very impressed. Let's go over to those folks that had this protest earlier today.
Just sleep on the so I'm going to check you out to find out, you know what I mean? Because I don't know who is lying right now. Good morning. You see, look, the conversation continue. Tell you comment. The women are turning up out here. I don't want to know why everybody in these out here is here. I just give me all a glimpse of what's going on. How are you, darling? How far are you coming from? Haslington. Haslington. Yes, what story is this? Haslington. Wow. And this is your daughter? No, my little neighbor. She wants to come. Your neighbor, she wants to come? Wow. Wow.
Hey, neighbor, morning.
Wow. Wonderful. How old are you, baby? You're 10 years. You see, she's 10. And they're coming all the way from Haslington. Isn't there something there? Isn't there something? Don't worry. Because get into the rain.
You see, the rain that is going on there, the rain. And they're still out there. And they're still out there. And they're still out there. And they're brave to be out there. Warriors, soldiers, real soldiers. Not pia soldiers who just pop up for the photo op and leave.
They're coming in twos and they're coming in threes. Oh, God, this is something.
Look at the rain, but look at them. They're still, they were out there earlier. They're not sitting in Canada taking photographs with an installed president. 19 fraud charges. They're not sitting in Canada like Van West Charles enjoying himself and taking photos with them now. But we'll touch on that on another occasion, mind you. Kudos to these folks who didn't just pop up because they saw it on social media and rushed down there. They were there. They were there from the beginning. They were there.
To my friends of YouTube. They're coming in twos and threes.
Those are significant numbers.
Yes. Rain or shine. Come out. You gotta walk in from in front because I'm going live right now. So you're walking in. Come. Should I see with your umbrella? You see? Lordy said rain or shine.
Rain or shine.
And you got your umbrella too.
You ain't got the umbrella.
Yes.
Rain or shine or snow. Be out there.
Well, the camera,
girl, man.
Don't worry, the camera, you walk with this for the sun. Rain, shine, or water.
Morning, ladies.
So they have to take a phone call and all of that. Yeah, y'all like y'all can talk to.
Well, y'all know we gotta rain or shine, right? That's the PVP Paku that they were actually referring to, the rain or shine. Y'all know them, right? Let's just get a little smile at these Pakus.
Yeah, this is the elite team, the root team. Strong team.
Number one.
PPP team.
Yeah.
You understand me? PPP all the way.
Fort.
Yeah. One Guyana.
Yes.
Holding the fort for Monday
Yeah.
morning.
In any weather, rain, sun,
Son.
We are
in the
here.
night. We there right.
Rain, son. Those jokers, those guys are real jokers. Pakus, comics, that's who they are. Let's go back to the ground where the people are standing up. These folks, whenever they have these sort of protests with these brave folks on the ground, these are the real troopers. I see Lurley Nestor there. Real troopers. Real troopers. These are the real guardians of democracy. They are going to be out there for hours upon hours and every day. They don't pop up just to take a quick selfie and beat out and post it on social media as though they're fighting and doing it. These are genuine people on the ground fighting the struggle. And that is why I'm impressed. And that is why I got to support and salute people like Lurley Nestor.
The camera. Well, ladies and gentlemen, those of us viewing from all over the world, the women of Guyana, the people of Guyana, we will continue to stand because we believe in justice. And we are here to have a conversation because so many people in this country were hurting because of the decision, because of the statement that came out on Friday from the police, not from the DPP, but from the police, which says that the young lady says, we heard that she said, we're still waiting on the tape because we don't know who to trust at this stage, that she's not going forward. And so we are out there to say that not going forward does not mean that it did not happen or it didn't happen. And we are saying that Mr. Darren Lau, must have his day in court like every other person. And so we are waiting to see what the DPP will say, whether charges will go through. And we will continue to keep watch. In this country, we're hurting. And so we're here to have a conversation. We have to heal. We're trying to heal from this moment of pain, this moment of frustration, this moment of anger. Because if you allow people to just have their anger pent up, they can do things that are not, that will not be good for themselves. And so we are here to offer a space so that we can vent and we can help to heal. But we will not stop until justice is served in this matter. And I want to thank all of us viewing from all over the world to continue to stand with us. I want to thank you for continuing to stand with us, continuing to stand with the child who was alleged that she has been brutally raped by a sitting minister of the Guyana government. And to date, he is still a minister of the government. We're told he's on administrative leave. Whatever that means, I don't know. But we will continue to stand in solidarity with that young lady who needs our support. She needs our praise, and we will continue to do that. So we are out here to have that conversation. We are going to talk to each other about how we feel.
You know, just to pause it there for a moment. Thank you so much, Lurley Nestor. Lurley Nestor is a teacher by profession, a politician by profession, a former member of parliament, and is brave enough. She doesn't miss an elections from voting. She does that regardless of where in the world she is. She heads to Guyana to do exactly what she's doing there. Kudos. I take this time out this evening to say I salute Ms. Lurley Nestor. Job well done. She's also the recipient of a national award. And so she's more than deserving of that, They have a lot of those politicians back in Guyana. You hardly see them. They're hardly out there. There are a few of them who are out there, and we salute them too. Not the one or two who just pop in, take a photo, and they leave. We know those people who pop in and just leave. That's not the kind of politicians we're looking for. Those are not the sort of political leaders we want, or so-called leaders we want, because we know that if they get an opportunity, some of them, If they get an opportunity, those pop-in politicians and take a selfie politician, think it's a show business stuff. We know that they're not going to work in the best interest of the majority of people. So be careful with those sort of people who pop in and out. Just be careful of them. I just thought that I come in with a little editorial there, right? Let's head back to Lurleen because there might be some other folks after her. Continue, Lurleen.
Because we need that time to just talk it out than to run on the streets and do things that are crazy and that will be detrimental to ourselves and probably to our country. So we are offering this time out here for us to just talk to each other about how we feel because our mental state is also very, very important. So we're going to detox mentally and we're going to try to make sense of a system that we believe is jacked up, a system that we believe is not working in the interest of regular folks in Guyana. And so we're going to have that conversation about the system as well. So thank you. I see former minister and Ferguson is here, Minister Hastings, who has been out there championing the cause of this young lady. She's also the General Secretary of the PNC. Over to you, Minister Hastings. Former minister. She ain't in this government. Now this is what you want.
Thank you, Erlyn. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I want to thank you again for enabling the environment, for coming together in this crucial time where we come out here to fight for a good cause. A cause that involves the life of a young Guyanese woman. And you know, I'm quite sure listening to the development of how the matter is being handled. Sometimes I cry, sometimes I get real angry. And I continue to look to my God that there must be justice out of all that is happening around us. You know, I tend to read my Bible and I said, this happened in the days of the Bible times when young women were tested. Like Esther, they had to stand up to represent their people, despite of all the negative things that was happening, and they were victorious because of the God they believe in. And so I comfort myself, and then to see you when I come out, standing along in solidarity to support this cause, that also gives me strength. When I see people like former minister, my colleague Simona Brooms, Miss Annette Ferguson, and Comrade Lurleen Nestor, who is always a voice for the voiceless. Then we have the Prophet, and then we have Haslington, and all others who are with us.
You know, I paused it there for a moment, and I thank the Honorable General Secretary for being out there. Look at the condition earlier. It was raining, and look at the handful of them who are out there. Just a handful of them who are there. People from Parfait Harmony, people from Haslington, ordinary folks just hop in a minibus, maybe their cars, and they just headed straight down there at the Square of the Revolution. I don't know. I don't know, but I know some other folks probably gonna wait until the rain is eased up and then pop in there because some don't want they probably get a fresh haircut at the barbershop, or they don't want their makeup to melt away and these sort of things. Politics, they think is a pretty boy and pretty girl show, right? But look at these folks out there. We gotta say salute to them. We gotta give them respect. And over the past months, we have seen a lot of the General Secretary, Ms. Dawn Hastings Williams. She has been out there. She has been standing up and fighting for those 20 plus persons who died at that dorm fire, fighting for justice for the family, and then the rape victim as well. She has been out there. And this is what we want. We want to see these folks who are genuine about this struggle, who are genuine about the cause. They don't care how they look. You don't see them with cameras there flashing it. They don't care. That's not their number one objective. And that is why for me, I really, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate people like these who are out there because the cause is genuine for them. And a lot of them, we know them from before. They're not just like hop on the scene individuals. You know what I mean? They're not just a Johnny come lately hop on the scene individuals. Let's head back to the scene there. Raining in Guyana earlier.
Us today and who continue to come out,
Yes.
that gives me the strength to go on.
Yes.
And so, as I thank you, I thank God for the support, and I thank God for keeping the girl alive unto this day. I know she is going through a lot emotionally, mentally, socially, because it appears to us that she's like the accused.
Yes.
She's more in an enclosed. She's accustomed in an open Amrinium village
Yes.
where you can go to your neighbor, pick a fruit, go in the yard, talk. But now they have her in this so-called protection and care unit, wherever that is, wherever they have her, because to this day, I've been informed she hasn't been returned to our community as yet. So they have her somewhere in the city. They brought the Tusha from the village. They asked him to travel down, and which happens to be her uncle, who happens to be her uncle. And you don't know what these people are telling these persons. All that they're doing is in the defense of.
Sorry, I just had to pause it there for a moment. Did you guys just hear what the Honorable General Secretary Don Hastings Williams, also member of Parliament, Ms. Williams, just said? That the PBP paid for the travel, the flight of the Tusha, who happens to be the uncle of the rape victim, the uncle of the rape victim. And while they paid for this guy to travel to Georgetown to meet with him, hours after, we got a report from the police. Well, we saw it publicly that the police said that the girl no longer wishes to proceed in that matter. Red flags, right? Lots and lots of red flags. Let's take the tape back to that part so you guys can hear, those of you who didn't.
Where you can go to your neighbor, pick a fruit, go in the yard, talk. But now they have her in this so-called protection and care unit, wherever that is, wherever they have her, because to this day, I've been informed she hasn't been returned to our community as yet. So they have her somewhere in the city. They brought the Tusha from the village. They asked him to travel down, and which happens to be her uncle, who happens to be her uncle. And you don't know what these people are telling these persons. All that they're doing is in the defense of the accused.
So she's not in her
So
parents'
she
custody
is
at this
not
point.
in her community. That I can say, she's still not in her home, village, or community, even though you've heard that, she dropped this. And she did that because of being, if I were in her place and at that age, that tender age, I would have told him I want to go home too.
Yes.
Because the home is the best place.
Yes.
It's the safe place. You have your family, your relatives, your friends. And so if I am being pressured in that way, asking me the same questions over and over, I could just imagine maybe waiting just for me to say, all right, man, I don't want to further this thing. And I don't want it to go. Any child who's pressured in that way will give you that answer. I'm saying even an adult, if I were in our place, I would say, let me out. I want to go home. So that was expected. That is expected of a child. And then I told you at the beginning, I said, I am following and monitoring how this matter is being handled. And I am not surprised. I am not surprised at all the way it is being handled. We were told, let the system work, allow the system to work. But from the beginning, the system was at fault. From the initial beginning, when the girl made her statement, you see all kind of reactions in the post, even by some females. And it hurt me to see how some females could go so low to make remarks as such. This morning I'm going through some remarks. She was enjoying herself. Young girls like money. Who doesn't like money? Is it only young girls like money? Right. Who doesn't like money? And nobody was there when she was having fun, or they were. I don't know what kind of fun that is. I don't know that rape and sodomy is fun for anyone. So even though it seems like right, okay, this system is not working for our child, our young sister. The system seems to be working in favor of the perpetrator. And I became the alleged perpetrator. Yes, don't escort me. Alleged perpetrator up to now. But I know my God, He's all over. He sees all over. He listens all over. We can only hide for some time, but the truth must be told, and the truth will be revealed. Yes, I'm a proud indigenous.
Proud indigenous.
Yes.
Move the bag, Maya. Taking away from your proudness.
Yes, I'm a
Put on
proud.
the indigenous umbrella. Let me see.
I'm proud indigenous.
Fix your shirts. You can take off the hat. You just get a little rain under the leaves.
And you see my hat?
Yes.
Akawayo.
Akawayo.
Yes, so that's
Proud indigenous indeed, a fighter, someone who's out there, whether it rains, whether it's sunny, whether it's baking hot, as we would say in Guyana. She is another one that is out there. We take this time this evening on 107.1 FM to salute Miss Dawn Hastings Williams, the General Secretary of the People's National Congress, Reform, and also Member of Parliament. Miss Dawn Hastings Williams is also a former Minister of State, and she's out there in the streets fighting for justice, fighting for equal rights and justice. Kudos to you, Miss Dawn Hastings Williams.
You're well represented.
so that's my tribe.
Yes, that's it.
So that's how I feel, and I'm happy. I said I get comfort from people like you, so I get to sleep, say my prayers. But I just want to say again to this young lady, this young woman, these young sister, continue to be strong.
Yes.
This is not easy. I admire your strength. I admire your courage, and there is nothing that can stop you from standing up for what is right. They do not be afraid of any man. Do not be afraid. You have a God that protects you, and you have us. You have your sisters who will continue to stand for you. So thank you again for everything. Thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you. And those people don't bother with these people that you might send out here with the comments. They're gonna be deleted and blocked in a second. No matter with the Kwamamites, yes, Annette. Let's hear from you. You know, some Kwamamites saying some things out there running around my page, but it's okay for a second.
Well,
People,
yes.
that you're dealing about. Yes.
Well, first of all,
Hold on, before you call, let me see like a team of people just arrived from somewhere. Hold on, let me just coming back to the honorable. So we have babies. Look, you see I'm going like you see. Look, you see, speak up, speak out, stand up.
So the Linden crew is now here. The Linden crew is now here. And again, we take time out to salute Apostle Nigel London, all the way from Linden. And let me say this, he's not an elected official, you know. He doesn't receive a salary of $200,000-$300,000 per month. He doesn't get a duty-free concession. And how some people get very ticklish and they love to talk and susu behind the scene and all manner of things when I remind them of those who are actually elected to represent the people, who are being paid to represent the people. But some of them, when they go out there, they feel it's a favor they're doing to the people. We'll get back to that at some other time, right? But this guy, Nigel London, and his folks jumped in the vehicle from Linden, all the way from Linden, with his own vehicle, own gas and gas money, and all manner of things, just to be here. I'm sure Nigel London, he has a business. He put everything aside just to be here too, just to be there with the people. And tonight, again, we say kudos to Nigel London, Apostle Nigel London, for being out there today, even in the rain. How many members of parliament have we seen in the opposition out there in the streets over the past 2 months or so? Whether it's the Madja stuff, whether it's the, sorry that I say Madja stuff, but that horrific fire that killed 20 young indigenous girls and one boy, and then the allegations of rape and sodomy against Nigel Darmlal. How many of the MPs are we seeing out there? How many? Just a handful of really, really sincere ones. Let's get back to Simona Brooms and the ground. Sorry about that, guys.
It's you. And we have you. Rape is criminal. Rape is criminal. And he's not playing. You could take a picture with his t-shirt and Minister Easton t-shirt. So yes, I see Mr. London here before I take I let you know, because when Mr. London started the live, he gone all over. Right, so let's hold up these umbrellas. You see, right? Let me try. Yeah?
I tell you,
No, she's coming. Hold on. She's host. He's host. You see this man got the mic down, clip up the jersey. You want all the views. So I have you here. I want you to. Why you come up here? Why you come up?
Greetings to all. Greetings to all. I came today to make a statement as a man more than anything else. Because Guyana has to understand that we have a responsibility to protect our children. And I'm also here to express my anger, my rage, which the matter is being dealt with. We demand and we deserve as Guyanese to be treated with respect. All that surrounds this situation shows a great level of disrespect for us as Guyanese, and it has to stop. And we are here to say today, I'm here to say today as a father, that which Jamlal has displayed even in Parliament must be taken into account, and he has to be dealt with because of it. So we're here to stand as well because the president of this country owes every child, I see children here, owes every child that degree of honor and respect to show their complaints will be heard and shall be dealt with. So I'm so grateful to be here. Of course, people from Lynn, I see somebody from all the way. Riverton is here as well. So Guyana is coming out today.
Yes.
All right. This is so precious to me.
Yes.
And we have to take a stance. More than anything else, it's an apostle of Yahweh himself. We have to take a righteous stance in this.
Amen. Amen.
All right.
Amen.
So thank you so much.
Thank you too.
Proud.
Take your righteous stand.
Proud indigenous.
Yes.
My great grandmother's Aquayo.
Hector.
Yes, ma'am. In my blood. You can sing na 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 na. Yes. Yeah. My great grandmother is 100% Aquayo. That's in my blood. That's in my blood.
Come on, Annette. Position yourself. Let's get straight down. It's not like a Hollywood lights, camera, action. Let's go. Let's get some talking there and keep it moving, Annette.
Him,
Right.
the tree, and then
Yeah.
the three of you. Yes. Beautiful. And then can we have the Honorable Ferguson and the Apostle?
And the apostle.
Yes. Good. And then Annette, can you?
Yes.
You want to have your
And you
views?
start
You
with
want to
this.
take a
Yeah, but
picture?
please, dear man, you too pretty to not stand with me.
Exactly.
You demand it. Must happen.
Good. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Yes, Annette, you're all the time
Photo
turning on you.
finish now. Let's
Yes.
hear.
Well, this morning, just before I say my bit, allow me this opportunity to extend happy CARICOM Day greetings to all Guyanese and also my brothers and sisters in the other CARICOM states. That being said, I'm happy to stand this morning and will continue to stand for that 16-year-old. I mean, you've heard the views from my previous colleagues. I don't have a different view from them, but to support what they would have said. And I want to say to all Guyana, whether mothers, grandmothers, aunts, whichever capacity you serve in, you too should take a stand against what was done to that young 16-year-old indigenous daughter. Look, it is going to 3 weeks since this revelation by this young lady. I think it first hit social media on the 16th of June. And on the 18th, the reports started to come in amongst every other thing. What those in authority would have done to that young lady is quite troubling. want to deny her her constitutional rights by not affording her an opportunity to legal representation. That is something she's entitled to. From all reports, that young lady requested the presence of an attorney, her attorney at law, to be with her, to stand with her, to sit with her, to ensure that whatever she's reporting is accurate.
For former junior minister of infrastructure, former junior minister of housing, and member of parliament, Annette Ferguson, saying her bits, giving her opinion on the matter. It's 42 minutes after 9 o'clock, and it's CARICOM Day in Guyana. It's a holiday. And the question is, what is there to celebrate, really? What is there to celebrate? Can somebody say, what exactly are we celebrating? Ms. Ferguson did say that fellow CARICOM states and all, nobody, it's like everybody's out on their own now for the CARICOM countries. There's no longer this unity, there's not this togetherness. And, back in the days when Forbes Burnham, Eric Williams, and all these other guys actually came together, and hence the formation of CARICOM. But CARICOM has been divided. There's nothing really. There's no sister CARICOM country to hold on to lean on for nothing. Absolutely nothing. All right, so let's see if we get some more comments coming out there from Annette, as hopefully she'll wrap up as quickly. We just want to also say thank you to Annette Ferguson. She's out there in the rain as well. And I'm sure we're appreciative of her presence there. So let us continue hearing what she has to say before we go to some others.
We haven't seen a signed statement by the young lady to suggest that, well, look, I do not want to give further statements because X, Y, and Z. As Guyanese people, we want to see that. I didn't see that. And it's the police who got to really come forth with the truth and let us know exactly what was done on Friday last, to give the suggestion that this young lady don't want to pursue with this matter. Look, Lurleen, Simona, Guyanese, whether you listening to us from home or near or far, this is a matter that we all should stand against. And as a woman, I will continue to fight, because this young lady is not deserving of this kind of treatment. And if we all remain silent, we are as guilty. We are as guilty as those in authority. It is surprising that even the first lady of this country, who's also a mother, she too has remained silent. And I mean, all these people enjoying the benefits from taxpayers and ain't saying nothing. You understand me? We are actually costing them, or our taxpayers' dollars are paying for whatever services they have to do. And not saying anything is quite disturbing. The women in the government, whether you're serving at the level of cabinet, minister.
Thank you so much, Miss Annette Ferguson. We'll try to get some more comments from some other folks. Let's see what's happening, but we appreciate the time Miss Ferguson took to be out there as well.
They don't send the police to harass and to intimidate the people.
Let me see the people backyard.
And so
protection.
I would hope that good sense prevail. We are doing this country and this government a favor by having a conversation where people can openly express their views without confrontation. And I want to thank you, Minister Brooms, and all the organizers and all the people who came out here to speak in a responsible way about this issue. And I'm happy that this is being broadcast all over the world.
People lining up out there.
All over the world, so that people will see that Guyanese are against.
Yes.
Guyanese don't condone allegations of rape and sodomy
Yes.
on their children.
Yes. Sister Laurie, let's walk to the front and see what's happening here because we are just out here. Yes. And again, Norlingtons.
And you see, usually the police pulls up, they pull up and they attempt to intimidate people. But you're seeing these folks, it's raining, and 95% of them are not elected officials. They're concerned citizens. They want to see a better Guyana. That is why they're out there. One guy came all the way from Corriverton, a couple of folks out of Linden and other parts too. They're out there. Most of them there are not elected officials. But I guess the elected officials in the opposition have their other jobs to do. But these folks left their business, they left whatever it is to be out there to stand up and fight in this struggle. And all of those people you see there, the little boy, the little girls, everyone, we should say salute to them as well. They deserve that. They are the heroes of today, paving for a better tomorrow for all Guyanese. Let's head back to hear what Simona Broom's.
Yes. For giving me the opportunity also.
Yes.
I think, how are you? How are you, my sister? I tell
Yes. People are converging, people are coming, and it's raining. It's raining. The clouds are dark. The clouds are dark. It's a national holiday in Guyana, but people decided that they're going to come out there. They're not going to stay home and have fun, but they're going to come out there and stand for a few hours to stand in solidarity of the child. They're standing in solidarity of the child. And people are coming from all over Guyana. We're having a conversation. They're having a conversation on Coffee Square. Just basically talking how they feel this is a safe space where people can actually express themselves in a non.
And we noticed their compliments of the Village Voice. You guys go and read the Village Voice. Everything you need to know, almost everything, and the truth is there in the Village Voice online, the Village Voice. Lincoln Lewis continues to call out and says, look, Lewis tells misguided Ali, administrative leave not applicable to Dharamlal. He must be fired. Now, we can't say that anybody who disagrees with Lincoln, something is wrong with them. Kudos to Lincoln Lewis for saying exactly what thousands of Guyanese and non-Guyanese are saying, have been saying as well. Thank you so much, Lincoln Lewis, for that. Speaking of Lincoln, Lincoln will be my guest, or one of my guests, tomorrow evening right here on 107.1 FM. And then we go to Member of Parliament, Senior Counsel, Roysdale Ford, insists Minister Dharamlal must be fired. Says Ali is not his own man. Kudos to Roysdale Ford, the Member of Parliament, for this. And as they continue to call for the removal of the firing of Dharamlal. Let's continue for a few more minutes here at this protest early in Guyana, right at Square of the Revolution. It's a rainy day, but the folks were out there in their numbers. Salute some of you who might be watching and you were out there today. Thank you so much for what you did. On behalf of all of us, thank you so much.
Confrontational way, and in a way which will also help their mental health. We don't want people are hurting in this country. And unless we recognize and we understand that people are hurting here, we will have problems. People are hurting, and we are a safe space for people to reasonably express their views. In Guyana, the Constitution provides a right to peaceful protest and peaceful picketing. But this is a conversation. It's not a protest. It's not a picketing. It's a conversation on Coffee Square. For those of us who forgot what Coffee Square looked like, that's Coffee. Okay? The slave who rebelled against the system. Okay? And so we are here at the 1763 monument Just
Good morning.
good morning, my brother. Pretty good.
How are you?
You see how the police is coming?
We are standing in the fight. No, we are standing in the
This
fight.
is a father.
Standing in the fight.
This is a father who
We are
understands.
We are standing in the fight.
Yes.
We are
This
standing.
is a
We are
father, and he's a cop too,
We are
and
standing.
he understands. And I appreciate.
Yeah,
I
we are
appreciate
standing. The
this
work
young
has to
man.
go on, regardless or
He
not
is
the work still has to
fearless.
A cop saying, just I'd like to, because you know how evil the PPP regime is, how evil. We just heard that this guy is a cop. You know how evil the PPP regime is. I hope that they do not send this guy over in the mountains, Monkey Mountain, because every time a cop does his or her job that the PPP doesn't like, they transfer them with immediate effect to Monkey Mountain, or they send them in the K9 unit to feed dogs or to feed horse. Well, I don't know if this guy is a cop, but he does have an annoying face. You guys know I should know all of the cops right in Guyana. But let us go back to, I like what I heard from that cop.
So
He
not
is
the work still has to
fearless.
go on. You
He's
guys
doing
have to
his
do what
work,
you have to do.
but
the
he's
work got to
also
go on.
out there as a father. Brother, I respect you so much.
You know, it's
I
always come.
respect you.
It's always coming. He's
Yeah.
an intel, but he's come
No.
real humble.
He's a good up.
Yeah. They should come more like he. in the
More
force.
like he.
He's coming a high
You know,
five.
and he works among the people so he can
And
get
then,
the kind of
can I
information he needs.
take your picture? And this
Yeah.
time he getting all the information. I
Yeah.
respect your brother. I
He's a
respect you.
good,
You do your thing.
he's a good
Yes, I respect
person.
you. I respect you.
He's a good person. We have a
I
lot of
respect you.
fathers out here.
Yes.
We have a lot of fathers. We
And
have
I
a
think
lot
we
of
wanna-
mothers. We
wanna
have a lot of
walk along the
children.
touchline, Lordy. Let me just go because I see people standing up. Me and a lot of persons here. I don't know people from Linden, people from Good Morning, people from all over. You see, in a different Guyana, look. People, this my face like he comes from far, not about it. Yes. 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 Stop my meeting. Yes. 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 And of course, see, and this is a man holding his gun. Jail. You see? See? And so the police, they are doing our work. You see? Rape is rape. Our children must feel safe. Look at this plot yard from the child. You see? Yeah, the system failed the child. We demand justice. You see what is happening? Justice for my indigenous daughter. Yes.
She's gonna be my child. I have children too.
Mm-hmm. How far are you from?
From the west side. Doesn't matter where it goes, long this time. Now for this, I am for that. That's what I am for. I need justice and fair. It's I don't want to talk about it because when I talk about it, it hurts me. So I just it hurts me. I have my workplace and here, men could say, young girls, there must be one money. Come on. It could have been your child. What if something happened to your child? Just we will accept that you can't get justice for your child. Come on. No. She could have been your child. Every mother should be out there and to feel this burden. It hurts. It really hurts.
If the president
It hurts.
The sister's crying.
It hurts.
She said it's so
Really
painful,
hurts.
and when she listened to the comments of men, I see a
Men,
father
some-
here
I
too.
can't
Go on, man. Thank you,
understand.
sir. Thanks for coming out. Yes.
Like
Yeah.
that.
You from where,
Because
sir?
you're not in a situation, come on.
You're from Kiki. Okay. Man from Kiki. And you see,
Can't work.
people come out here so peaceful. I like this, you know.
Can't work, man. Come on. She needs just at least give her the chance to have her own authority. Let a court decide. Let a court decide what's wrong. Well, before the court decide, then yeah, we can stay. We need justice. She needs justice. How can you stand and tell your children? How can you stand up and tell your children there's something wrong? When somebody do something in school, come and tell mommy or daddy we will go to the station and get justice. How could you afford to tell your children those things? You gotta be scared because if somebody is the person got more money than you gotta be scared because you don't know because everybody paying a little something. A little something.
Yes.
Justice!
And then,
Justice! We demand justice!
happened earlier today at the Square of the Revolution. It continues. We're hearing that the protests will be on even when U.S. Secretary of State Blinken is in Guyana. He is scheduled to be in Guyana on Thursday. I'm not sure if that has been postponed. I don't know, but he is scheduled to be there on Thursday, and the people will be protesting. Because outside of this, the rape allegations against that minister, that so-called minister, lots of other ill things happening in Guyana that the people would want to protest and let the secretary, the U.S. Secretary of State, know. Let him know that all is not well in Guyana. Mr. Secretary of State Blinken, all is not well in Guyana. And so I'm not sure if by Wednesday there will be protests in front of the U.S. State Department building in Washington, D.C. But whatever it is, we will let you guys know tomorrow. Protest continues. The protest continues there in Guyana. I'm sure they'll be back out in the streets tomorrow. Those wonderful people, those people who went out there from even in the rain, they have been out there. All those who came in from Linden, Corriverton, that gentleman from Kitty, and other folks from across Guyana, they were out there in their numbers today. Kudos to all of them for being out there. And we have to continue to encourage and support those genuine, and I emphasize genuine soldiers on the ground there. We know who they are. We know who they are. We'll touch on that some other time, but we know who they are. Let me just have you guys know that I was on a Norman Brown show, I believe, yesterday, or was it Saturday? Saturday, sorry. And we want to do a rebroadcast of that immediately following this show. So just grab a cup of coffee, grab something to eat, and we will continue with that interview done by Norman Brown. He caught me and he asked me a few questions, and I'm like, I'm on the other side of the table, so to speak. But thank you all so much. I'll see you back tomorrow, same place. But like I said, don't go anywhere. That interview that Norman Brown did with me on Saturday will be aired almost immediately. God bless you all, and continue to pray for our country. Thank you.
Hello, this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington Law Firm, located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
Again, coming up with that interview Norman Brown did with me over the weekend, and Wayne Caesar, our accountant specialist here at 107.1 FM, is saying thank you, all of you who sent out greetings to his mom, Wayne Caesar's mom, Ronair Caesar as well. Their mom celebrated her birthday, and the mom is just saying thank you to all of you. Wayne Caesar's mom and Ronair's mom, she's saying thank you for those birthday greetings that you sent out to her. So let's head over to the desk in the studio where Norman Brown did that interview with me. Hope you guys enjoy. Have a great night again. And for those of you who went out and uplifted the adult diapers and the Pampers and so forth out in Georgetown, compliments of the Benschop Foundation, I got your messages. I got your thank yous. You guys are welcome. And some of the messages I weren't able to read. I wasn't able to read. Too many messages came in. If you're one of them that I didn't open your message to read it, my apologies, but I will get to it sometime. But just to have you guys know that the Pampers distribution has come to an end. So, but thanks for all those who turn out there and those who have sent their thank yous. You're welcome. All of you, you're welcome. Justice. We must have justice. Dharamlal should be removed and Dharamlal should be charged. Over to Norman.
Welcome to another edition of Voice of the Diaspora. In studio with me today is a very special guest. He's the host of 107.1 FM, a long-standing political activist, a very experienced political activist who has his finger on the button when it comes to issues about Guyana, issues affecting Guyana. He has his ear to the ground. And Mark Benschop is here with me to talk about the Nigel Dharamlal rape case. So much has been happening. And today, you have the opportunity to hear from one of Guyana's leading political activists and rights advocate, Mark Anthony Benschop. Mark Anthony Benschop, welcome to Voice of the Diaspora.
Good evening, Norman, and I say good evening because it's evening where you are, and of course, good afternoon where I am to everyone. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for joining us. I know you have a busy schedule. This is a last-minute invite, and you would have suspended activities with your kids, your children, that is, to join this program. And it speaks to the commitment in this struggle that you have always availed yourself to, that you have always committed your time to ensure that people are informed about what is happening in Guyana. Welcome again to the program. And before we go into the matter at hand, the issue that we will discuss, say hello to the viewers and say something,
Just again, thank you for having me, and thank you for inviting me. And of course, it's always a pleasure to be talking through your platform to your audience and to many of those who are eager to hear at least the other side of the coin, as to what's happening in Guyana. And so, again, good evening and good afternoon to all of your listeners.
Okay, so Colin Barnwell and a number of others are tuning in. Minette Sion, Winston Henry, and of course, people are tuning in again. They're patient. And so, Mark, look, the Nigel Dharamlal case, the rape and sodomizing, of a 16-year-old schoolgirl. That case was brought to the attention of the president of Guyana some weeks ago. The young woman would have written to him for help, and it was pushed on the back burner until yourself and other activists would have come out publicly and made that call that there should be justice for that 16-year-old Amerindian girl. From then to now, we have seen the machinations of the People's Progressive Party to ensure that the case does not reach the light of day, that the young woman does not get justice, and that Nigel Dharamlal goes free to return to the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development after this heinous crime would have been committed. What are your thoughts looking at the case from the start? What are your thoughts?
Well, it's unfortunate that it has reached to the stage where we are hearing that the little girl no longer want to pursue the matter, which for me is rather questionable at this time, the way in which it happened. The police, the head of the police force, they have a lot of explaining to do. The DPP has a lot of explaining to do. And those who were entrusted in terms of her safety, they have a lot of they have a lot to say to the general public as to what really transpired. Many of us in the public domain understand the nature of the PPPC when it comes to corruption. And it was pretty obvious that they will certainly go at all lengths to ensure that they corrupt the process. And even if it has to intimidate the victim, intimidate her relatives, and even some sort of monetary inducement. This little girl, and with all due respect to her, she just didn't get up overnight and say, look, I no longer want to pursue. We all saw that she was being very strong. We all saw that she was prepared all length to go out and ensure that she gets justice. And suddenly we're hearing, and mind you, we're just hearing this from the police. We're not hearing it from anyone else because it appears that this is exactly what the police wanted to do, to get this matter over with and done. And because of that, they had a political obligation to fulfill. And that obligation is to ensure that they protect Dharamlal. And protecting Dharamlal for them is protecting the PPP. The crime chief, who is said to be in place to become the next commissioner of police, and maybe soon we will be hearing that announcement. It's either him or one other individual. But what we do know is that the acting commissioner of police should be on vacation, retirement very, very soon. And so there is this race now to perform for the PPP to see who is best suited for the next commissioner of police to become the next commissioner of police. And so the investigation was stymied in the process in the beginning. They knew that they had some political work to do. They knew that when they submitted the file to the DPP, that the file was questionable. The DPP knew that. They continued to stall the process for about 2-3 days. Then we heard that the DPP sent the file back to the police. It was all a game. It was a political game they were playing, and they were attempting to brainwash the people. And in the process, we were hearing from individuals who thought that we are just, we are all a bunch of backward people, that they feel they can jump because they have a microphone and maybe some sort of whatever credibility out there, that they can say to individuals, don't talk about this Nigel Dharamlal's case. Don't debate it. Let us not have an opinion. Let us just shut up and allow the system to work. The system has worked, but not in favor of the people, not in favor of justice, not in favor of the victim. The system has worked in favor of the corrupt. And that is what it has been, and it will continue to be that way until that broken, corrupt justice system is fixed.
Thank you, Mark Benschop, of the diaspora. So many people are tuning in at the moment. Mark, I want you to, if you will, to outline to our viewers the trauma that the 16-year-old child, school child, went through, allegedly at the hand of the Minister of Local Government, Nigel Dharamlal. We heard that she was raped and verbally abused, and went through much as a political actor would have actually suffered on the People's Progressive Party. Outline to us what are your thoughts on what she went through, what you would have gathered.
Well, Norman, I can just imagine what she would have, or what she's going through at this point in time, and knowing that her rights were betrayed, knowing that she was taken advantage of. She's 16 years old. He is, as we say in Guyana, a big old hardback man with a 16-year-old. And it appears, based on the evidence that we saw, what was presented and what we can assume that is evidence that he started allegedly grooming this girl when she was 15 or maybe 14, I don't know. And then he struck at her when she became 16, which is the legal age for sexual consent in Guyana. And so, based on the description from the young lady, what transpired, one can only imagine. She spoke about the fact that she's under 100 pounds. He is about 200 pounds. And you can just imagine. And the description, it was very graphic for a little girl, or an old man like Dharmlal, based on the allegations. One can only imagine what she has gone through physically, what she's going through mentally and psychologically. Those scars are going to remain with her for her entire lifetime. And no amount of money, no amount of promises or sweet deals or whatever can ever repair the damage done to that little girl. Compliments of Nigel Dharmlal, compliments of the judicial system, compliments of the PPP regime, and compliments of those who were part and parcel of this big diabolical conspiracy to ensure that no justice is done as it pertains to this little girl. And now I say all of this based on what we can say is the evidence that was actually presented out there in public domain. So based on that evidence, we can just imagine what she is going through at this point in time. She has been violated, according to her and allegedly by Nigel Dharmlal. She's now been violated by the Guyana Police Force. She has been violated by the DPP. She has been violated by the political system and the entire justice system in Guyana. So violation all around.
There has been, Mark, thank you for that, violation all around. There's been national attention on the development where one of Guyana's most popular attorney at law, Nigel Hughes, would have been called to represent the rape accused government minister Nigel Dharmlal. Nigel Hughes, was retained by the rape accused to defend him, and we saw protests outside of his law firm, Hughes Fields and Stobie, and we saw women asking him to discontinue defending Mr. Nigel Dharmlal, who we understand is not only a case, this allegation of the 16-year-old being raped by him, but by a number of other young women who are alleging that they would have faced similar abuse. What are your thoughts on attorney at law Nigel Hughes taking up that case?
Well, it comes as a surprise to me, and I'm sure it is a surprise to scores of other folks who know Nigel. And I know Nigel at what I would say at a personal, capacity. I've known Nigel over 20 years. Nigel has been, and probably we can still view him, as a lawyer who stands on the side of victims, whether it's political victims, whether it's those become victims, other circumstances. Nigel has always been, for the most part, from a legal standpoint, on the side of victims. This matter is a high-profile political matter that has to do with a high-profile political individual, one whom I would describe as notorious, one whom I described as very disrespectful towards women, disrespectful towards the position that he holds. We have seen him on numerous occasions in Parliament, not just with the dildo comment disrespecting a female member, and not only just a female member in the opposition, member of parliament, but all of the opposition members of parliament, they are females, and the entire female population in Guyana. This accused, Nigel Darmlal, should have no position or should hold no position in any government, whether they're installed, whether they're there illegally or not. He's not fit for any public position. Having said that, the fact that Nigel is known to be in communities across Guyana, he seems to have a passion for indigenous rights. He frequents the indigenous communities as well. And he has always been speaking out in terms of violations against Guyanese, yes, but also our indigenous brothers and sisters. And so it baffled me when I saw and I heard the news that Nigel actually took that case. Majority of folks are disappointed. I am disappointed because there is absolutely no justification in Nigel taking that case, none whatsoever. I agree that as a lawyer, Nigel, that is, or any lawyer, has a right to take a case. Any case, they have a right to take that case. But any lawyer also has that right not to accept that case. And Nigel accepted that case, knowing very well there will be serious repercussion coming from mainly opposition supporters who are rather surprised again that Nigel took up that position. And in my opinion, Nigel's explanation is it's just not acceptable. I'm not going to sit here and throw Nigel under the bus. I'm not going to sit here and try to denounce him in any in any manner that would give the PPP reason to say that we are quick to throw individuals under the bus. I am grateful for the many times Nigel has represented me, an accused, political accused, on numerous occasions. And there's nothing wrong with standing up and on the side of political accused, folks who are being persecuted under an oppressed regime. But again, without repeating myself, I am deeply surprised and disappointed that Nigel Hughes would want to represent, of all persons, someone like Nigel Dharamlal. The PPP has so many lawyers. A lot of them are low-level lawyers, yes, but why couldn't they go to one of those lawyers to represent him? They have many of them. Priya is a lawyer. Datadin is a lawyer, and they love to represent people. Why Nigel Hughes? And why did Nigel Hughes accept that case? We are disappointed, very disappointed in Nigel Hughes.
Very disappointed in Nigel Hughes. Why did he accept that case? Mark Benschop, during the course of his representation, he publicly stated that the system has to work. He said, I think, as a justification to his representation to the rape accused, Nigel Darmlad, he said that the system has to work. Nigel Hughes, is a former politician. He understands the culture of politics in Guyana. What is your view on that public pronouncement, knowing that he understands the background and the nature of politics in Guyana? What is your view when Nigel comes out to say to the general public that we must allow the system to work?
Yeah, I don't know. Nigel, of all persons, should know better. Nigel Hughes, that is. The system is broken. The system doesn't work, especially when the PPP is in office. They oppress people. They violate people's rights. Nigel Hughes of all persons should know that under the PPPC, the system doesn't work. Nigel has said that, I believe, only because Dharamlal, the rape accused, is his client. And I would assume that Nigel said that thinking that people were just going to listen to him and put their hands up and say, okay, Nigel, you said let the system work. Let's lay back and see what happens. I think people saw that as a disrespect coming from Nigel Hughes, knowing then that social media and especially social and political activists and women's rights activists have always been out there, human rights activists, talking about issues, especially when there is no hope for justice. I'm not sure why Nigel would say and ask that let the system work. The system is broken. How can a broken system work? I don't know what was going through Mr. Nigel Hughes's mind at that time, but Nigel knows the system is broken. Nigel knows it doesn't work. Occasionally, there might be a little victory here and there, but 99% of the times, the system doesn't work, especially for the ordinary man, especially for poor people. And what we have there right now is a system only for the likes of Adaram Lal and Irfan Ali and Jack Deere and those folks. That's when the system works, but it doesn't work for poor people. Whether it's a poor Indian, whether it's poor indigenous, whether it's poor African, it just doesn't work for poor people. Nigel knows that. Nigel Hughes, that is.
Nigel Hughes knows that. Mark Benschop, you have had a long sojourn. You continue along that road of political activism, of highlighting injustices against the oppressed in Guyana. We saw the DPP sending back the case to the police, for the file to the police for further investigation. Many people are saying that the Director of Public Prosecutions, Ms. Shalimar Haque, is in the pocket or under the control of the People's Progressive Party, in particular Barra Jagdeo, who calls the shots. When you saw that file being sent back to the police, and subsequently the police saying that the young lady, the 16-year-old Amerindian girl, school girl, no longer wanted this matter to be continued, do you think that there were other external factors that would have caused that situation to arise, in which the DPP sent back the file and the police saying that the girl didn't want any more, didn't want to continue, and so on? What are your thoughts on that?
As indicated earlier, the girl has been violated, not just by based on the allegations, not just by Nigel Darmlal, who based on the allegations, brutally raped her and sodomized her. But the system did the same to her. And when I say the system did the same to her, that includes the DPP chambers, because the DPP chambers, based on the law and based on what and I'm not a lawyer, I'm not going to pretend that I'm a lawyer. You're only a lawyer when you pass your bar exam and you are practicing, and I'm just not. However, based on the evidence presented, I think there was sufficient evidence there in which to proceed with a rape charge against Nigel Darmlal. If you check other rape cases in Guyana, and you compare those files with the file that was sent to the DPP with Nigel Darmlal's file, your listeners would see exactly what I'm talking about. I am almost certain that there are folks who were charged with rape with far less evidence when compared to what we in public have learned about Nigel Darmlal's alleged actions. When you compare those files, and you would see that there was sufficient evidence to institute a charge of rape against Nigel Darmlal. The fact that, who would rush, if it is accurate, and his lawyer, Mr. Nigel Hughes, nobody denied that there was a changing of the color of his room, Darmlal's room, freshly painted. Nobody denied those allegations at all. Denial of him knowing the young girl. There was no denial of him having sexual intercourse. At least I haven't seen it. What we saw, though, was a statement coming out of the commander who said that the young lady no longer want to proceed with the matter. All these things point in the direction of, in my opinion, sufficient reason as to why the DPP should have instituted a charge of rape against Nigel Darmlao and let it go to the magistrate. Let us have a PI,
Let the courts decide.
A preliminary inquiry. And if during or at the end of the preliminary inquiry, based on the evidence presented, if there is insufficient evidence to throw the matter up to the High Court, then, as oftentimes we see, or whoever is lucky, they get their case just thrown out. Lack of evidence. It is not for the DPP chambers to do that. In answering your question, as it pertains to whether the DPP is in anybody's control or whatever, there's sufficient out there for John and Jane public to harbor that perception that the DPP, Ms. Shalimar Haque, is not interested in justice, is not interested in what is called a balance, a fair dispensation of justice. And it appears as though, and that is the perception out there by the public, that she's using office to ensure that those who are with political connections and those who have money, the likes of Azruddin Mohammed and others, and the political guys like a Dharam Lal, like a Irfan Ali, and these other guys are not charged at all, and certain other individuals. If any person in that office as DPP is using their office for that to protect those set of individuals and only target the poor people, then people got to harbor those sort of perception. And when that sort of perception is harbored, it is very difficult not to believe that the DPP is using her office as a political tool and a pawn for those big, high and mighty so-called business people in Guyana. And with that, I say, maybe it is time, or not maybe, the time has come for the DPP to be removed from office.
The time has come.
If that's possible or not, she's got to be removed from office. She's violating the rights of citizens in that country. And I say, shame on the DPP.
Appear to be severely compromised. I want to go to this clip before I ask you my other question, because you would have outlined to your viewers on your program, the Mark Benschop Show on 107.1 FM, something that is tickling me, the way the PPP supporters react to the oppression, to the suppression, to the brutality they visited on non-supporters of the PPP. We see it on our platforms. We see it in the public domain. We see that senseless sort of response, that uncaring response to the, to the persecution and even murders of people who are not PPP supporters. And you would have mentioned that on your program. And of course, you would have graphically outlined what happened to that young lady. Let's go to this clip. It will take a minute. We can have a glass of water so on, viewers. And let us hear what Mark Benschop ought to say on 107.1 FM, Mark Benschop Radio, online.
Shot to death by the police. Majority of our Indian brothers and sisters love that. Majority of the PPP supporters love that. They love it. They enjoy it. We see it in the comments. Some of these so-called blogs, so-called PPP newspapers. We see it. We see it every day. We see it. We see it. We see it. But these are the same folks who defend an alleged rapist. They're defending this guy. For them is this guy deserves a fair trial. This guy, we shouldn't be speaking about this guy. We shouldn't be doing anything. We should sit back, we should shut up and allow the system to work. Allow the system to work. That's according to these folks. But they didn't allow the system to work with that guy that they shot and killed under questionable circumstances. They didn't. What if the police had shot and killed this guy? What if? What if? That's the question. After all, he's a suspect of a very serious crime committed against a 16-year-old girl. He's accused of a serious crime committed against a 16-year-old girl. But the PPP supporters are jumping for joy because the police shot and killed a suspect. And some of these folks, again, want the system to work. They believe system. They take people for pakus. And then some of them don't even want us to discuss the Nigel Dharamlal rape matter. Oh, we shouldn't discuss it. Oh, no, we shouldn't discuss it. Oh, no, give me a break. This is what the little girl is saying. And I want these folks in the PPP to hear. She says, this was my first time, and I was in a lot of pain because he was very rough. He never asked me if this is what I wanted. Critical part here. He never asked me if this is what I wanted. I was in a blur, and my mind was blank. This is coming from a 16-year-old girl. I'm not sure if this is part of the report that was submitted to the DPP. We will get to that shortly. And now let me continue with what the alleged victim, 16-year-old rape victim, is saying. She says, I was in a blur and my mind was blank. She's 16, forget. Look, she says, I am 5 feet 3 inches, weighing less than 100 pounds. Less than 100 pounds. A note, and this is for the PPP supporters. Less than 100 pounds. Less than 100 pounds. This man is about 5 feet 7 inches and over 200 pounds. He was dominating me. After a while, he said, I want you to turn around or turn over. And he sort of rolled me over, and he did continue with the vaginal sex for a short while. Then I felt him going for anal. It started paining right away. I told him to stop. I was in so much pain. I was screaming for him to stop. The anal sex was worse than the vaginal sex. But he didn't stop. As he was over me, he couldn't do anything but pierce my nails into his hands while enduring that pain. It was terrible. And he told me to shut up and not make noise because my brother will hear. That's according
Mark Benschop there on 107.1 FM speaking to his viewers, thousands and thousands of them. He has outlined what the young lady would have put in a statement that she sent to President Irfan Ali that he refused initially to address until activists came out and exposed that he was in receipt of that correspondence. Mark, I wanted to carry that clip because I want my viewers to understand what that child, I am saying a child, a school child went through. A child who had never, as I understand it, been exposed to sexual intercourse. A young lady who had her virginity at 16. You know what hurts me? That this is a young lady that is beautiful, that at the age of 16 being raised by good parents in a society where we know lawlessness happens. And she kept herself. She was a virgin, Mark, when this monster groomed her, pressured her, broke her, and subsequently violated her. And when I listen to your narration of that statement, the way you delivered it, I want to ask you, how did that affect you? You are a father. You are an activist. You have been feeling for people who have been persecuted, people who have been abused, people who have been violated, and so on. But you are also a father, Mark. When you would have examined this case, when all of the information would have been there privy to you to peruse, how did you feel, Mark Benschop?
You know, as a parent, I have a little daughter, and all of us, this ought to affect all of us as parents, and not only adults. It has to affect all of us because this is a little girl village child. I can just imagine that that little girl is from within our village. And it will take someone who is very stone-hearted, so to speak, not to have this based on what the little girl described, that it wouldn't have any sort of effect on us. And again, one can only imagine what that little girl has endured and what she is going through right now. I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist. I don't want to say that I can get deep within her mind right now, but as a father, as a human being, we can all just imagine what she's enduring at this point in time. And so, having said that, and based on my activism in Guyana, I have personally dealt with some of these matters with underage girls. And here is where we go again to say that the system cannot work. The system is broken. The system is corrupt. And we have seen the evidence more under the PPPC regime, because this is headed by a set of corrupt individuals who are unpatriotic. They don't believe in the justice system unless they can control and corrupt the justice system. That includes the judiciary, and it includes the army, it includes the Guyana police force as well. And we see these things every single day. So this is not propaganda that's being spewed here on your show. The facts are there. The evidence is there for all to see. Only those who are diehard PPP members can see it because they're blind when it comes to the truth. And so when it comes to justice, And when it comes to fighting for justice, if the individual is not part of them, whether by ethnicity, for the most part, because we do see a lot of Indian brothers and sisters who came out against what has happened to this little girl. So I don't want to paint all individuals in that with that same brush. But what we see though is those diehard individuals, what we call on my program the trench crappos, are the ones who are so uh, blind that they can't see past the propaganda of the PPPC. And so for the 20 something years, the evidence was there that the system was broken and that they are not going to go and fight for justice when it comes to victims like this little girl who has been violated and other little girls in the country or little boys. They have there someone who is supposedly a minister by the name of Kwame McCoy, allegations that he has violated a 15-year-old schoolboy. Nothing at all. And the allegations of other members of the PPPC who have violated people. And nothing has happened. Some of them are sitting right there in parliament. Some of them are in the cabinet of the regime. Some of them are part and parcel of other agencies of which they're heads of, and so forth. So nothing is going to happen under this PPP regime. And anyone who sits in the public or on social media or on the media and call on citizens to have faith and sit back and trust the justice system, I'll question those individuals. It doesn't matter who it is. I'll question the objective of that individual and whether that individual means it or individuals mean it, or they just saying that because they have a client to represent or they have some personal interest in. And this is not directed only to Mr. Nigel Hughes, who is a friend of mine. And I believe will continue to be a friend of mine. It is just so that in this particular situation, I am just disappointed with him when he said, let the system work. Let the system work. That hurts all of us. It hurts not just those of us who are activists. It hurts the entire Guyanese population when we have people are saying, let the system work. The system didn't work for the Orrin Boston's family. It didn't work for the Backus family, that little boy that got killed on the East Coast. It didn't work for the Henry cousins. It didn't work for the other little boy that was killed, Singh. It didn't work for the people of Linden. 3 Lindeners were murdered under the PPP regime. It didn't work. It didn't work for Ronald Waddle, who was assassinated under the PPPC regime. It didn't work for the Sashsaw family.
Courtney Crummy Wing.
It didn't work for Courtney Crummy Wing. The system doesn't work. The system works only when 19 fraud charges were discontinued. 19 fraud charges, the man who sits there under questionable circumstances as the president of Guyana, 19 fraud charges, the system worked then. Anil Nandalal walked out of the Attorney General chambers with law books belonging to taxpayers of this country, of Guyana. Taxpayers. No one has that authority, legal authority, to instruct him to those law books. But yet he claimed that Donna Ramatar told him he could take it. In any other part of the world, democratic part of the world, Anil Nandalal would have had to do serious jail time for theft. But only in Guyana these things happen, that the system works for only these people. A little kid out in Albaistom or Port Morant or Blackbush or Eversham or Alnis or Philippi or Linden or Pokwani or Ituni or Bartica or Lethem. A little kid, poor kid, is going to get caught with a little spliff, the system wouldn't work then. You know how many young brothers are currently in Camp Street prisons, Luziknan or New Amsterdam, and even women for a little spliff? The system didn't work for them then. There was no system. A lot of brothers and sisters are currently incarcerated, all because the system didn't work for them. The system was so unfair to them that they are currently either serving time because of a corrupt system, because of corrupt police officers who planted evidence on them, or they're sitting there still in prison, awaiting trial for a long period of time because the system didn't work for them. A lot of them weren't given the opportunity for station bail or even any sort of bail from the magistrate's court. They are remanded to prison. But no, the system only works for people like Nigel Dharamlal because of his political connection. The system works for him where he is not handcuffed, where he's not placed in shackles, where he's not put in the lockups, and where he's not given that special treatment, so to speak, of 72 hours. But no, the system only works for him. The system didn't work for Roxanne, who was shackled, placed in handcuffs, and in the lockups for 72 hours. The system didn't work for Trevor Ben. The system didn't work for Lowenfield and Mingo and scores of others. No, the system didn't work for them because they're not entitled to that sort of fair treatment under the system. The system didn't work for others who have been persecuted under this PPP regime. Oh no, the system doesn't work. The system didn't work for Tokuma Gunsi, a frivolous charge against Mr. Gunsi. It didn't work when they arrested him and placed him in shackles. It didn't work for him and put him there in the lockups for 72 hours. It didn't work for all of those people. But we must sit back and wait for the system to work. For Nigel Dharamlal, who was swiftly sent home on $1 million bail, station bail, whether he paid it or not is a different story. His passport was not taken away. He was not told by the police to return every day until the matter is investigation is completed. No, the system doesn't work for majority of poor Guyanese. It doesn't work, and it doesn't work for those whom the PPP believe that should be persecuted. It doesn't work. And look how long Roxanne Myers and Lowenfield and Mingo and Trevor Ben, look how long, over 3 years now. And their matter is still in the magistrate's court. Every time they turn up to court, the prosecutors are not ready. Oh, they're not ready. They're not ready. They're not ready for over 3 years. But yet, they want us to believe that the system works. The system is broken, the system is corrupt, and the system is racist under the PPP regime.
Mark Benschop here on Voice of the Diaspora. 48 minutes, 29 seconds into the program. We're fastly reaching the hour mark, and we're winding down now. Mark Benschop, as eloquent, as passionate, as careful and concise in what he's saying, but very, very clear on what has been happening under this regime. Of course, the system did not work for Mark Benschop, who spent 5 years in solitary confinement on trumped-up charges of treason under the directive of Barra Jagdeo, the same Barra Jagdeo who is the de facto president posing as vice president in Guyana and calling the shot. It has been too long that one man has had a stranglehold over this nation and continues to have a stranglehold over this nation, whether in legitimate power or outside of the leadership of the country, while having the leadership of the country through the back doors. Mark Benschop here on Voice of the Diaspora, 107.1 FM, and a long-standing political activist who is consistent, who has a nightly program 5 days a week on 107.1 FM. You can find that program on Mark Benschop's Facebook page and, of course, on Radio 107.1 FM. Mark Benschop here on Voice of the Diaspora. We're winding down now. I have to ask you this question. You said in a post on your Facebook very recently, you said you asked the president of Guyana a question. Let me go back to you on the screen before I bring that up. You asked the president of Guyana a question. But someone said to me this morning, a senior journalist in Guyana, said to me, that person said, the PPP is a rape and bugger party. That in that party, you have so many functionaries at the highest level, at the middle level, and below that are engaged in terrible immoralities and lawlessness. And therefore, there can be no justice for people who suffer, innocent people who suffer at the hands of those who sit in that government in positions of power. I want to go to a question that you courageously asked the president of Guyana, Irfan Ali. I want to go to that question, and I want our viewers to see it. And our viewers can see it now. Mark Benschop 1 day ago. Dear Irfan Ali, in brackets, installed PPP president, if you agree to take a lie detector test on whether you knowingly had sex with a minor, 13, 14, or 15-year-old, or any underage girl from Bollywood Disco and Hotel Kitty during the time you were Minister of Housing, I, Mark Anthony Benschop, will stop referring to you and your regime as installed and illegal. Over to you, Irfan. Hashtag lie detector test. Wondering. You asked that question, and I wanted to ask you on this program for the world to see, for my viewers to see and to hear. Why that question?
Well, it's a relevant question, and comes out of the heels of the fact that, in my view, and I'm sure scores of folks who are watching this show right now would agree, that the appearance is there and it is blatant that Irfan Ali was protecting someone who is accused of a serious crime, of raping a 16-year-old girl, accused of that crime. And the way in which the president pronounced on the matter got me thinking as to whether, and I say the president, and usually I don't say that, but I take that back because people should know by now I don't recognize the PPP regime as a legitimate government. And so by extension, I don't recognize Irfan Ali as a legitimate president. But the way in which he pronounced on the matter caused me to have some eyebrows raised as to whether he was basically protecting Nigel Dharmlal from this serious accusation. And it's merely a question of if, in fact, because uh, he wasn't an angel when he was the Minister of Housing. People have accused him, including a pandit from Essequibo, I believe, who accused him of cursing the pandit out and disrespecting the pandit and all manner of things, and allegations that he cursed people and chased them out of his office when he was Minister of Housing. He never treated people with any sort of respect. And so it led me to ask a simple question. Based on the fact that it is my opinion that he's protecting someone who's accused of a crime, a serious crime against a little girl, which is rape. And, instead of right off the bat, remove Nigel Dharamlal from office, he waited until Dharamlal made the decision. Oh, Nigel said that he wants to remove, and I agree with Nigel. No. You, as the so-called president of Guyana, should have swiftly removed Nigel Dharamlal and not just find ways to protect Nigel. And that is what Irfan Ali was actually doing. Hence my reason to say, well, look, something isn't right here. But if Irfan Ali is willing to take a lie detector test, and this is not accusing him that he has done anything wrong, but if someone were to ask me to take such a lie detector test, I will rightly and readily, whether publicly or not, ready for that lie detector test to be taken. And that's all I was just merely trying to point out, that why is he trying to cover up? Why is he trying to protect Nigel Dharamlal? Is there more to it? Is there more? Is he like Nigel? I'm not saying that, Dharamlal. I'm not saying that, but look at how we defended. Look at how we protected Nigel Dharamlal. Eyebrows should be raised. Hence my post. That's all.
Mark Benschop here on Voice of the Diaspora. 56 minutes, 28 seconds into the program. We are actually wrapping up now. We will have Mark's closing remarks. We're fastly reaching the hour mark with Mark here on Voice of the Diaspora. Of course, our viewers are tuning. There's so many comments. I am putting some of them on the screen. Desiree Simmons just said, if the PPP elite could keep their lawlessness among themselves, then that's okay. But to impose their vulgarity on the citizens of Guyana is unforgivable. Desiree Simmons, one of our constant, viewers on your show and on my show, and a woman who is in tune with what is happening in Guyana and has an opinion that can lend to educating a lot of us and ensuring that we can use those opinions to craft change in Guyana. Desiree Simmons will always be welcome in this program. Mark, as I said, we are closing now. 57 minutes, 42 seconds into the program. 3 minutes left. Your closing remarks.
First, let me thank you for inviting me on your platform. And I appreciate the fact that we were able to have a discourse in a very straightforward way. And I am on your platform and I respect your platform. And if you notice, my mannerism, waiting on you to pose your questions and respond to you based on the question asked. And I believe that the discourse has gone in a very respectful and professional manner. And hoping that the next time you're on my platform, we can have the same very professional and very quiet discourse with each other, as I respect your platform. Having said that, I want to thank also your viewers, your listeners. My closing remarks is that we have to be careful with those who pretend to be with us, who would come on our platforms and want to comment about things when it is not in favor of the PPPC. We know who those few people are. Some of them are like one Wesley Curtin and others who eat the king's meat. They're out there eating the king's meat. And then when we say something that they don't like, then they come to challenge us. They don't say anything at all when it comes to Guyanese being persecuted. They don't say anything when it comes to the corruption by the PPPC regime and those in the private sector commission and so forth and so on. They remain quiet. Those are the house slaves that we have to be very careful of. And with that, it's Saturday afternoon. I don't want to bore your listeners with anything else other than just we've got to be careful with those individuals. And one more thing, though, Mr. Brown, if you'd allow me.
Yes,
and
you
I'm
go
glad
ahead.
that,
Go ahead, Marco.
and I'm kind of liking this tone, I'm kind of liking this tone, Mr. Brown, very much so.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Norman. And I want to see this sort of Norman on Benschop Radio too. But thank you. Individuals who are PNC members and believe that because they campaign during the course of an election, that if they are not given a position to serve, then they are going to walk away. They are going to walk away. They are going to threaten to quit and resign, all because of not being placed in a position. And I think that for me is a no-no, that you don't campaign, you don't go in a party to be campaigning, and then when you don't get a position, you run away, or you threaten to quit, or you threaten to go and put on a red t-shirt, as what we may see somebody doing shortly, and these sort of things. It shows that their hearts are not really that close, and it bothers me, Again, I can go on and on with this closing remarks, but it's Saturday afternoon. I know you want to go and knock your little 2 Guinness, and I don't want to take that away from you, Mr.
Not at this time. These are serious times, and I recognize that you have taken the opportunity from your busy schedule to get to be here. And Mark, I am deeply appreciative of your presence, and I think that our conversation tonight illustrates what obtains going forward. I want to thank you so much for being here on Voice of the Diaspora. Of course, it is a pleasure to have someone of your caliber and social standing here, a renowned political activist, over 30 years, someone who has been in the struggle, in the forefront of the struggle at times, at the front of the struggle, alone, when no one else would have been there. You have made history in political activism, and your relevance remains today. It is a pleasure to be sitting with you here today, this evening, on Voice of the Diaspora. 1 hour, 2 minutes, 49 seconds. Mark, thank you for being here. Thanks to my viewers, Brenda Casey, Desiree Simmons, the whole lot of you for joining the program. And until next time, tomorrow I should be having Simona Brooms and Rickford Burke on the program. Hopefully, we will be talking about this same issue, among other things. Mark Benschop, continue the good work. And to my viewers, Mark is on Mark Anthony Benschop Facebook page. You can find him on 107.1 FM. And let us share our platforms as we continue this struggle to bring down a dictatorship that is destroying Guyana by the second. Mark, thank you for being here on Voice of the Diaspora. And thank you to my viewers. Good night.
Thank you.
So this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington Law Firm, located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.